All right, good afternoon, listeners. You're listening to Lament of Hope blog and podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Richardson. And today, I'm so excited I get to connect with Orla Fallon. It has been um, just a journey of getting to connect with her and then to finally be at this spot where we get to actually talk and connect a bit has been this is awesome. I'm really excited about it. Orla was with Celtic Woman for several years and has since released several of her own solo albums. I think her most recent being Abide With Me, which was released about 2 years ago, which was a set of hymns and songs of faith that Orla put together and recorded. You know, Orla, first of all, thank you for taking the time because I know in Ireland right now it's late, so thank you for being here. Um,
You're-
What, just to kind of get started for people, who love your music or following your music, do you have plans for another album coming out soon or
Yes, I'm hoping to release a new album sometime next year. I have been over the last 2 years working on some material and
okay?
recording my time with this one. And when I came back from the States last year, I was in the studio again. And yeah, so there's some original material, and I've been busy, but I'm taking my time with it because it's all the new stuff, so it's more time consuming than recording songs that are already out there. So it's taken me a long time to get it done, but I will get it done, and I just want to be really happy with the end result.
Can you share what the theme of it is or
Oh, it's just I've been writing lots of songs, just inspired by the garden, nature, different, quite spiritual, some instrumentals as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of hope in the songs, and I think they're quite well. I think they're quite uplifting. So I hope people will find them uplifting when they listen to them too.
do you find it easier to write uplifting songs or songs that are sad? I know that a lot of the songs on your albums, it's interesting because you've had such a variety. If you do listen to any of your albums, you can have really sad, kind of these Irish traditional songs that kind of tear at your heart. I think of that song Two Sisters. To me, that's always been like yeah, it's sad, but it's also a story, but it's like mysterious and different.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah.
can have something like My Land, which is just, relaxing and restful. But for you, like, do you enjoy or do you find it easier to do hopeful or more sad songs?
Well, I suppose the Irish in me, I love the laments and the sad, the melodies of some of the Irish tunes are just so plaintive, haunting, and they're just hauntingly beautiful. And I am really attracted to them. Sometimes I say I'm a bit of a mother of sorrows in that I love all of those really powerful, haunting songs. And there's just something very special about them, and I'm very much
Hmm.
drawn to them. In my writing, I'd hope there that there would be that haunting element, but that they're hopeful. That.
So you think they can be blended together?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's important to blend them together. Yes, yes. I think music is so powerful in that. I used to always say, even when I started out, you'd hope to take, if you're doing a concert, if you move one person on the night, you've done a good job. If you can take somebody from a different place and just bring them to a different level, spiritually and emotionally, and um, then you're doing a good job as an artist. And I just think music is so powerful, and that it can just, people can be going through terrible turmoil and pain in their lives, and
Hmm.
they listen to a piece of music and it can just, it can be very healing. It can help you, it can be cathartic. Music is just so powerful. And um, yeah, and I just feel privileged as a musician that you can bring songs. And I've been very privileged over the years that so many people have shared their stories with me, and how music and some of the songs that I have sang have meant something and something really special to them, and that they just struck a chord at a certain point in their lives when they really needed something to listen to. And that's very humbling. And yeah, so you're in a very privileged position as an artist to be able to do that and bring that to people.
Do you have a song, it could be one you've sung or not, that makes you feel a certain something, like either is spiritually refreshing to you or emotionally refreshing to you personally?
Um, I suppose like there's so many songs that I love, but I do love, even though it's not like a traditional song, when I sing, everybody says to me, when I sing Inish Free, it's like my song. I just get lost in another place. And my dad is gone over 10 years, but every time I sing it, I think of him and I feel like he's there on my shoulder, and it just takes me to another place. And it's a song that's so special to so many people. And I always just get lost in it. And yeah, never sing it the same way twice, really. And it's dreamy and it's a beautiful song. And so many people over the years have contacted me and reached out to me because of that song, and that they love it so much. And it's just, yeah, it's very special. And to me, I think that'll always be my special song.
And is it, you think it's in part because of your dad too?
But he always loved it. He used to always say, "Oh, you're going to do Inish Free, you have to sing Inish Free." And he just really, really loved the song. And yeah, I do think of it. But when he was alive, I used to think of my grandmother who loved the song as well. And when you're singing it, no matter where you are in the world, it's like you think of home, and you think of all the people who left this island many years ago and who made a new life in places like America, Australia, all the world. And just the song kind of connects people. There's something connecting in it, and the lyrics and the magic in it. And
Hmm.
it's just, it tells a story and it paints a picture. It's lovely. It's very special.
Do you, I know being a full-time mom and, doing music, I know you do weddings and, special events. How do you find the work-life balance between the two? Because I know for me, one of my fears being younger, eventually, Lord willing, having children, it's like, I don't know how I'm going to balance what I love with a person that I love, a child that I love and wanting to invest in that. And obviously the child being more important in many ways than, making sure that I do all the things I want to do. Um, how have you balanced that? Has it been easy? Do you feel that you've done it well, or is that something you're still trying to figure out?
Oh, I think you're always trying to, when you're a mother, you really want to do, like, before Freddie came along, it was all about, of course, it was all about my husband as well. But it was like, it was, me and getting my story out there, career and touring and concerts and whatnot. But when a little person comes into both your worlds, it has to be about them first and foremost. I think that's just me, rather than yourself. So you have to become selfless. And I feel like I've been so lucky in that I've had many opportunities, and I did all things I ever set out and that I wanted to do. So I suppose I'm not as ambitious for myself anymore as I used to be, because before I was really, really ambitious. But now my main ambition is that my child is happy, um,
Hmm.
and that he reaches full potential, and that he is a good person, and that he has really good values. And so that's really important to me. But it's important also to see that he sees that, you have to have a dream. Like, he's mad into sport. He just loves sport. It's not music. And he's saying he has big dreams and ambitions and stuff. And I say, but that's good. And you have to have a dream, and you have to, just put your head down, and just all you can ever do is do your best, and in anything you do. And um so yeah, so I don't, like, I used to tour like incessantly, like I was on the road the whole time. But when I had Freddie, it's funny, I did more when he was tiny than I do now. you know like he was 9 weeks old, and I went to Holland for 10 days. Now, I remember Danielle sitting in the hairdresser the first night, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? It was like, and I was, oh, it was like he was 9 weeks old, and that was really, really hard. And I got through it, but I was literally counting the hours, and a little picture of him, they're abroad everywhere. And um, yeah, so I couldn't go touring. I just wouldn't be able to do it anymore. He is 11 now. He will be 12, please God, in September. But I love when he comes, when I'm playing at things, and he comes and he helps me get set up. He loves doing that kind of stuff and being like my roadie. It's important for him to see that you have to work hard, and to encourage that you have a dream, and you have to go for it. But for me, I don't think, but this is just me, that you can do the two of them. Now, there'll be women saying, oh my God, she's not too much for women. But I'm just being honest. I don't think you can have a fantastic career and be a fantastic mother. I don't think you can do the two of them brilliantly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
At
I
the same
do.
time.
I do.
And I know there'll be loads of people saying, oh my God, how dare she say that? But to me, my number one is that Freddie's happy. And I love my music, but I'm not as driven as I used to be about the music. For me, it's
Hmm.
about happy. And I will, when he's older again, I will go back and do things. I remember going to Canada doing a concert, and it was only for 4 nights. And I dropped Freddie to school, and he went up the steps and he said nothing the whole way up, because I dropped him to school on my way to the airport. And then he came down the steps again and just gave me a hug, and he said, don't do this again, and it was really hard. So yeah, so people like myself and my sister, we always have this discussion. People say, oh, women can have it all and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I think you miss out on stuff. And just for me, I always wanted to be a mother, and I didn't think I'd ever be privileged enough to be a mother. So it's really important to me that I did it right. And I thank God for Freddie every day. So my number one priority is that he's a happy and a good person, and that he's has
Yeah.
an inner, it's not confidence, an inner, strength, and to give him that inner strength, because it all comes from home. There's a great book I'm reading at the moment. Home is where the start is. So you have to have that foundation there. And then he hears the songs, and he says to me sometimes, are you, oh, when you were, he says sometimes, when you were famous, would you be famous again? So funny. And different things. But for me, I just love being on the side of the football field, cheering him on or whatever. And yeah, yeah. But you can have the two, but I don't think you'll be a megastar and be a brilliant mom. That's just me, because you're putting so much time into
Yeah.
being a
No, and
megastar.
I'm hearing you say too that your priorities and like your priority of your loves just changes with the birth of your
Yeah.
son. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's the
Um,
right way of putting it.
you know, you mentioned earlier you didn't think you'd be a mom. Is it because you really wanted to pursue the career so much you didn't think motherhood would come to
No,
you, or
I just didn't think it was physically possible. I was told it wouldn't be physically possible. So it was
okay.
very lucky. Yeah. So I say Freddie's like our little miracle. So we're very privileged to have him. So yeah.
Well, what is his birth story then?
No, we just had given up, like, on we were actually going to adopt. We're going through international adoption, and it's a very grueling process. And we got our it took us I think it was 5 years to get approval.
Wow.
And yeah, and then when we got approval, every country in the world that we're going to, they all shut down. So I remember being on all this, it's not meant to be that we're not meant to be parents. And we kind of just accepted it and said, look, we get on really well, we have a great time. It's just not something that's not going to happen. That was that summer. And the following summer I was expecting Freddie. So yeah, but I think he's a miracle. I say thank God from every day. Yeah.
Were you really surprised when you found out? Like, you must have been over the moon.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my God. I was shocked. Yeah. Yeah. It was the best surprise ever.
Do
Amazing.
you
Yeah.
so how old were you when you had him?
41.
41. Wow.
Oh,
That's
myself the geriatric.
inspiring though to older moms, right? That's inspiring, I would think.
Myself the geriatric mother, and I loved every second of it. And I used to bounce into my appointments with my doctor and say, "Oh, I never thought I'd be here, and it's so amazing and it's so exciting." And I just loved every second of it. And thank God wasn't sick. And I played loads of harp. I went to America. I recorded my lullaby CD. Actually, it was really weird because for years people were saying to me, "Oh, your voice has that quality." So many people put on, we'd say, Away in a Manger, Christmas time, my version of it, for their little ones to go to sleep. And, oh, did you ever think of doing a lullaby CD or a lullaby album? Because your voice just really lends itself to that. But I could never do it. And I never said to anybody because it was just too painful to do it. Just a full album of lullabies, because I'm just thinking,
Yeah, of
you're
course.
them to your own. And then I gave in and I said, yeah, I will. And I started like looking up, listening to tons and tons of lullabies and working with Dan Shea on it. And it was then I discovered that I was expecting Freddie. So it was like, so
Wow.
that was really, and I had my big scan, which is a 20-week scan. And I knew Freddie was a boy. My husband didn't want to know. He ran out of the room. It was so cute. And, but I wanted to know, but I didn't tell anybody. And so I had my little picture of Freddie, the scan, and went off to Kansas and recorded the lullaby CD. So I was singing like all the songs to him, and yeah, wrote a
Wow.
lullaby, which I'm really proud of. It's the loveliest little song for Freddie, Far Off Place. And yeah, and actually, I think of all the albums I've ever done, that's done the best out of all of them. And it's still like so many people listen to it. They download it on Spotify or iTunes or um and they just, and because it's nice for parents to listen to as well. And even there's a very special little boy whose dad passed away last year. He got sick and passed away very quickly. And he is 9, and he will not go to bed without listening to the lullabies. And I just feel, oh, that's magic. So yeah, I think of all of my recordings, that's the one I'm most proud of. Yeah.
Wow. That is such a cool story. I did not even know that.
And
Wow.
that, yeah, was like, I remember telling somebody and it was like, yeah, they went, "You're not serious." And I said, yeah, yeah. So it's very special. So Lullaby Time. And yeah, and remember I worked with this great girl on the cover of it. And she's a she's from the Netherlands actually. And Roxanne Burkhartz. And I sent her a little picture of Freddie, and she did this little sleeping baby. Look up the cover of it. It's really magic, and it's so cute. And yeah, that album's done so well and was played on so many radio stations. But it's just that it's a really nice thing for parents and children to listen to at the same time. Because before that, I listened to stuff and I was like, oh my God, Barney and stuff, can't listen to that. And it's real condescending, and just patronizing to listen to, and panpipes and stuff. Oh no. So this was, I think, it's very magical. Yeah.
Do you you've mentioned God a few times. You also,
Mm,
with your newest album, you seem to have a very keen love or passion in the spiritual. I was actually
mm.
just several weeks ago talking to Olivia Belly, who's also a composer, and she was telling me that her newest album that she had done, she wanted to give people an outlet to explore the spiritual through her music, her instruments. Um, for you is, music and spirituality seem very woven in some ways for you. Do you consider yourself like a spiritual person? Do you believe in God? Like, how has that played into the music you've written, especially this last album you did a couple years ago?
Yeah, no, music and spirituality are very much intertwined for me, always have been. From the time I was tiny, I just had a very deep sense of presence of God in my life. And every time I sing, I just feel God is there, and I feel like my voice is a gift from God, and my hands, my harp. It's like, yeah, I really do feel that I was chosen and given this, and so you have to use it. It's like, don't hide your, that the parable of, what is the parable of the talents? Don't hide your lamp under a bushel.
Yeah.
And yeah, and even I love gardening as well, and I find that that's very connected. It's like Patrick Kavanagh is a poet I love, an Irish poet, and he said God is in the bits and pieces of every day. And for me, that's it. And your garden, the little bits and pieces of every day, and there's a sprinkling of just that lovely presence. And I feel very, because I remember a friend of mine said to me, "You've got such a good, deep faith." That she said, "You're lucky. I wish I had that." And I do feel, yeah, I feel like I have a forever friend on my shoulder all the time.
Did you ever have a time when it was really hard to hold on to your faith?
Ah, yeah, there have been times. I remember when I was 16 doing my leaving cert, and a very, very close family friend just died suddenly. He was only 40, got a heart attack, and we were very
Mm.
close um, because his wife looked after me from the time I was small, and just the devastation. I remember being so angry with God. It was like 16-year-old, and I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, so it has been challenged, but it's like I feel lucky that I do have the belief that I have. And it's like every relationship goes through ups and downs. And I think that's even with your faith. So the challenges, and then when you get over the challenges, just makes it stronger as well. So I
Mm.
feel that, yeah, it's important to me, but I'd be very private. Well, it's most I'm talking about it now, but I would be quite private about it. But I do, yeah, my faith is important to me.
Mm. Do you, and this is, and please take this answer as you will. Um, I have found that for a lot of musicians, even admitting to a desire or a love of the spiritual, wanting to engage in that, is something they're afraid of because of just sometimes it's just a very negative response from people.
Mm.
If you have, and this may be different in Ireland, but in America, there is a hostileness at times to any sort of spirituality if you admit to it, right? If you keep it pretty vague, it's okay. Um, but very few musicians will even admit to it, if they have any kind of faith, because they don't want to offend or hurt anyone. Um, and understandably, because of such of the kickback that they get sometimes from making one comment. Have you found that in your musical career to be something you faced? Um, or, in Ireland, I don't know if it's different because obviously, I mean, Ireland is rich in cultural heritage of, Catholicism, and you've had a lot of religious, figures in Ireland. So I don't know if it's different, but here in America, especially now, it is something that people are very reluctant to talk about. So I don't know for you, is that something you faced? Have you found that? Or,
Well,
um,
yeah, well, I think, Danielle, it's really important to respect everybody's beliefs where they're coming
yeah.
from. It's a personal thing, and you can't say my belief is better than yours, or I do it. Like, you have to respect every faith, every creed, and every different faith is a different way, is a different ladder to God, and you have to respect that. I can't like, and we're going through. There's a lot of stuff going on here that in Ireland now that I actually feel so ashamed of, because it's like this far right movement, and it's like anti this faith, anti that, and anti immigrant, anti thing. And I
Mm,
just can't I hate it. I just, you have to, I would always be very, yeah, of course, it's not seen as cool to say you have this belief, but, you know, I, I am proud of my faith, but as I said to you, it's a personal thing. I respect I have lots of friends who don't have any belief. I have lots of friends who are from very different religions, different creeds, different cultures, and I respect them all. And isn't that what makes the world a better place? If we were all the same, it'd be so boring. And so I just love how, and we can all complement each other. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I love, chatting and people of different cultures and whatnot coming together, and that's part of the whole power of music. You can meet somebody who can't speak the same language, you just totally different content, whatever, you sit down and play a tune or something, and or sing a song or whatever, and then you're all just blended together in the one melting pot. And yeah, I think the world is in a state of chassis at the moment, because it's like people's tolerance is just getting very thin, and it's
Yeah.
like, but nobody's the right to say what you believe is better than somebody else. And you just have to be respectful and just learn from the, like, it's scary at the moment. Like, there was an election, and European elections this week, and a lot of far right people were elected in France and Germany, and you just think, have people not learned from what happened in history in World War II and stuff? And it's all very dangerous. And for me, it's like, can we try to live in harmony and just, you know, I find it all very scary, the whole thing of all this division and hatred and
Yeah.
anti-Semitism, anti-this, anti-that. I think it's awful. I think everybody's trying to do their best to get along, and I think that's the way it should be, without sounding like Pollyanna.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think everybody deeply desires peace. I mean, I think that's just a human desire that there be rest. Um, do
But this
you
hate
go ahead?
thing, all this nastiness and hate, that's, it's kind of like bubbling away at the surface. I just can't condone it at all. It's awful.
What, how do you think that people could achieve that peace you're talking about? Because I know, like you said, I mean, right now we live in a divisive world. And so, and obviously there's only so much one person can do. And really it is, what can I do to foster peace where I am? Um, but for you,
Well,
like, what would be your
it's
hope for that?
each person's like, I see people, you just see it now, like little children or people are instilling this bigotry and whatnot. It's wrong. It's just like, it starts with your own patch, and just try to foster, it's all about like just respect for people, and kindness, respect the dignity of every person. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Start simple things, but then it just spirals out into all the hate. And I think, it's just sad. It's just a worry, because the poor old planet's in a state of turmoil as well. And that's from just, people just take, and just give something back, and nurture people, nurture the earth, without sounding like I'm totally hippy dippy or anything. But it's very important,
Yeah.
to, look after ourselves, look after each other, look after the earth.
Do you find that something that you're able to encourage your son in, or because is that something you're worried about for him? Because he's going to be,
I
the
do
younger
worry
generation is going to
he's going,
face a lot. Yeah.
yeah, really worry about like climate change. And like, you can see the effects of it here already. It's quite alarming. Like, we've had 4 days of sunshine, I think, in 6 months. And it's really cold, there's no sun, it's really grey, a lot of rain, a lot of floods, different things. And you just worry, like, what is he going to face? Like, are they going to face famines, starvation? It's the next generation. And still some people say there's no problem with climate. But like, I feel like I'm middle-aged now, but I think of Freddie's generation, the generation after Freddie. What are they going to live through? Are they going to suffer? And it's just very frightening. Like, you see people, the migration now because of climate. And it, you know everybody needs to try to pull together this whole idea of stewardship. And everybody doing their bit,
Yeah.
to try. Well, don't know how I
Is
got
that
into all that.
well, no, I was gonna say, is that why you have a garden? Is that
Oh, I
kind
love.
of
I
in
from the
some
time I was,
ways that's your stewarding that you're doing
yeah,
daily?
this garden. There's every kind of bird. It's like I have a friend. I don't know half the breeds of birds, but she's just said this is like a sanctuary for birds because there's so many birds because of all the plants. And I plant lots of stuff that encourages bees. There's lots of big bumblebees, and it's really important. And I try not to spray. Don't spray. I don't like using those chemical sprays for weeds because they're so bad. And yeah, so it's like a little patch here that it is free of all those parasites and horrible things, and that there's lots of birds and lots of bees, and it's just a nice space. It's a calming space. So it's like a little. I often say to my mum, actually, it's like you feel privileged. You're all this is going on in the world, but you're safe in your little sanctuary. Yeah, and I'm very lucky and blessed to have that.
I know, I can't wait to have a garden. My husband and I right now live in a um apartment. We can't have a garden, but I hope someday soon to have one. Um,
You
but you,
you look
you know
so young.
what?
You'll have one.
You
You
you're
just look
like you'll have one.
you just look like you're in school, but you will, because yeah, I think it's just lovely. But you can even start small and have a little window box or something in your windowsill in your apartment. Just a little bit of green and nurture your little plants or even herbs or something. It's nice. Yeah.
Well, Orla, I want to be respectful of the time you gave, so I want, one more question for you. Um, what is your favorite sound and why?
Favorite sound. It's funny. I was only thinking last week. I did an interview shortly after Freddie was born, and I said that I've heard so many beautiful pieces of music in my time. Um, but the nicest thing I've ever heard is Freddie's chuckles when he laughs. And yeah, and I think there's something really magic. Do you know what I found was so sad during COVID? I love being outside beside the playground at Freddie's school, and you hear them all buzzing and chattering and screaming and jumping up and down and the fun of it. And during COVID, they were all silent. And
Yeah.
I used to think that was so sad. I think there's something very special and lovely in children's laughter. And it's like a symphony. It's just magic and beautiful. And think of all the children in the world, because so many of them are suffering now. And you just like that a child can have that carefree sense of laughter. And I think that's a beautiful sound.
Wow. Well, Orla, thank you so much. This has been restful for me, hearing you and getting to hear what you love and what you're passionate about. And especially, you were saying earlier that people may think, oh, I'm not really for women if I'm talking about the beauties of motherhood. But I think you, in some ways, for what you've shared, like you've been able to almost deepen, in a sense, what being a woman means and being a mother. And it's a deep spiritual thing that you can connect with. And so it's been really, really encouraging and restful to talk with you. So thank you.
Very nice to talk to you too, Danielle. And good luck to you. And I hope you have your garden someday.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Orla.
Thank you.